My earliest memory is of being curled deep inside my mum. I felt the warmth and the security of our togetherness. And there was this one short instant when I saw my whole life out in front of me. It was like my purpose was revealed, and then all of a sudden it went black and I forgot everything. It was through touching the earth and making art with my hands that I've rediscovered for myself this kind of infinity, if you like, of creative potential that's in here and me and around us. Finding it comforting to be here in the cathedral of stone, because I love stone, I love making the stone, and I love that it's limestone, because limestone, just like you and I, was formed in an ocean, on the ocean floor. So it's a feeling of both earth and water in here for me. My favourite piece is the St Andrew's cross. I heard it was carried from around the world from England, a kind of a seed, if you like, to plant into the soil of this community. A continuous link to the source of the church and the tradition of honouring the sacred. So it's a real haven in here. Yet there's kind of an uneasiness as well, out there on the street, in the city, in our nation, in our world. We're grappling with major challenges, and science is telling us that we're in a deep ecological crisis. Some are calling it the sixth extinction. So with this radical cascade of crises we're facing at every level, we know it's time to have a correspondingly radical shift in the way we think, design and act, yeah? So amidst the enormous complexity and fragmentation and separation, we're called to something new, something that can bring it all together again. So what is that? Ngā mihi nui ki ngā tupuna katoa, ngā mihi nui ki a koutou katoa. Ko taranaki taku mahunga, ko pātia taku awa, ko kāpuni taku waiora. No engari me ārangi o ku tupuna, ko Safira taku tāmahi, ko Caroline taku ingoa. This is something of the essence of who I am, a farm girl, actually. My spine is a volcanic mountain, Taranaki. My birth waters flow pristine from her rocky core. And I stretch laterally across the globe, my fingertips, my wingtips and my heart, and my ancestral homes, the Celtic lands of England and Ireland. On the farm as a kid, it was the horses who set me free. And then later coming to the cities, I learned a rather more different kind of intimacy, if you like. I went about studying sociology and psychology because I wanted to get to the root causes of what was troubling us, the inequalities, if you like. I discovered that it wasn't so long ago that our European ancestors made a series of very deliberate choices to separate out our explorations of theology and science, the arts and daily life. And I guess it really made sense to do that, right? When you look back, it was that specialisation that we really needed to move us forward in a radical way that was being called for. And when you look at the output of it and all our modern technologies, you can see we've had a pretty incredible time building this industrial age. It's impressive, I think. Yet somehow in all the excitement we've left something essential behind. So being a very practical farm girl, I thought I'd better get to work on this. And it's been about 25 years now that I've used the arts as my research and my service in this. So first it was temples for the human body in the form of clothing, and later I moved into collaborations on public art and sculpture. And similar to the making of this cathedral, each space that we've made has the purpose of unifying us, so that what we do and say can elevate our well-being and remind us of the sacredness of all life. So when we build these artworks, if you like, we're building with love and seeking to express divine essence. And that can happen in the middle of an infrastructure project in Auckland City. It's really empowered me to feel that, and to feel actually all of us are part of building our cities, this city. And it's not easy work. Actually, it's rigorous, disturbing to be in the fine grain of our human landscapes. Each one of the places that we've made art has been nested within its place, within its communities. A complex kind of microcosm, if you like, of the whole picture of love and loss. Like the Grafton Gully, nearby here in Auckland. It's a motorway now, largely. But this place was home to Waipararu Stream, a beautiful stream, a botanically very diverse native forest, right up until 1962. There were over 4,000 human remains were reinterred. It was, it's Auckland's first colonial cemetery down there, to make way for the cars. And also, sadly, as you will know, the Grafton Bridge holds the memory of many tragic losses of life through suicide. So there's this delicacy of life and death disguised beneath the motorway, a substantial and important piece of Auckland's infrastructure, right? But what do we do with all of this? How do we work with all this layered complexity creatively? How do we make things better? Not just some things, but all things. Those are the kind of questions I'm asking when I'm sitting with my pencil in the middle of the Grafton Gully. So what surprised me in this creative collaboration down there, and many others like it, is that beneath the surface of our human history and our personality, if you like, life itself becomes our primary collaborator. So the more I and we recognise and embrace the primary relationships of earth and water, fire and air and spirit, the simpler it gets, and yet the more potential gets unleashed. That's the wisdom of the cross, I think, moving us in all directions. So I became very surprised by the enormous optimism that I feel when I give myself to that. And it's a useful starting point, optimism. But it's game on, right? When you take on wholeness, you're going to get the light in the dark. It's not easy. And water is a perfect mirror to this. When I think of Waipararu Stream, I think of Horetiu under Queen Street and all the disrupted waterways in our country. They're calling us to attention. It's uncomfortable to look in that mirror, right? Because those waters are outside of us, but they're inside of us, and they're poisoned. And this can be overwhelming. What if we're totally consumed by this test? If you believed your darkest fears, you'd think the darkness of our crises was a vast wasteland of despair and annihilation that must be escaped from. You'd think the night would engulf you. But can we trust the polarity to bring new life? No matter what on this planet, every dawn is exploding with colour and electrifying photosynthesis. We are the dawn of creation. We. It's not a metaphor. The carbon and photons from some distant cosmic birth are actually in us.
Just waking up from sleep every day is that same kind of miracle, I think. It's dazzling to see it, that you really are part of the most incredible universe that just doesn't stop reinventing itself from this kind of inky black nothingness. No matter how shocked or stunned or disintegrated we feel, a wild life is erupting invisibly within every atom, every cell, every brain, every hand, every heart. This is regeneration. It's the great cosmic and universal creative process that I've come to love. It's the shared hero's journey that we're on. The separation, the initiation, and the return. Birth, life, death, rebirth. It's a pretty natural part of evolution. Regeneration seems to require separation, but it also calls for unification. Can we hold the polarity of life's wildness, one in each hand, the known and the unknown, the divine feminine, the divine masculine, love and loss? Can we hold these and allow new potential to rise in the space between? I think we're at a threshold of a crossover where the mechanical and industrial kind of mindset gives way, yields to the biological age, perhaps, the age of living systems. So I think what's shifting is not so much what we're thinking about, but how we think. The gift of this is in the simplicity, I think, that life actually knows how to regenerate life. Our bodies, our communities, and our places are teeming with the genius of life. We know how to heal ourselves. And it's, for me, been the simplest step into my senses that's connected me back into my body, into my earthly home, and opened me up to that magical world of spirit. So trusting that the senses can take us there. From that, the human creativity becomes a form of radical hope, a blazing fire of justice. So just as we chose stone by stone to build this cathedral, we can make the decision to step back into that relationship. I work a lot with Auckland Council, and we have this vision to be the world's most livable city. My favourite part of the plan, there's this Auckland plan, right, a very fat document that is helping guide this ambition, is strategic direction number 7, which says, acknowledge that people and nature are inseparable. Sounds like a good plan. The people in the land, the people are the land, right? We are this cathedral. And what we're working on is developing new practices that allow us to bring this way of thinking into our decision-making. Regenerative practices which invite us to go right back to the source of our thinking and move us from seeing everything as pieces and fragments into seeing the whole, seeing our part in the living whole. It'll be interesting to see how this all plays out, but I think that we can trust that allowing regenerative alchemy, if you like, into our decision-making processes is going to deliver what we need. You know, working on the economy, working on social, cultural, ecological, all together, one system. We can shift from coming up with quick fix strategies, if you like, to actually stepping back and imaging what does a flourishing whole look like. So rather than swimmable rivers, how about pristine waters everywhere? This way of thinking has recently inspired the Commonwealth of Nations, in fact. Baroness Patricia Scotland, Secretary-General of the Commonwealth, has made climate change the priority for her tenure. And of course, we're part of the Commonwealth. And the Commonwealth makes up nearly a third of the world's population, 1/5 of the land mass. And it has the political will around climate change because more than half of our Commonwealth nations are actually facing an existential threat from the changes. So the Commonwealth of Nations are leading a new narrative on climate change through an initiative called Regenerative Development to reverse climate change. Not sticky plasters, reverse, regenerate. So we're stepping back into co-evolution. Like the gospel said, the reading said, rejoicing, the whole world. It's a partnership of and with all of life for the benefit of all, and we're all part of it, every single one of us. It's not only possible, it's easier. At least this is what I've found. Because all of life is working with you. It's a really natural way to be. It's not natural to push away. It's natural and it's ordinary. Languages of wholeness, when spoken, weave an instantaneous unity. Like voicing a blessing or a prayer shifts the atmosphere. So too, the simplest gesture we make to reveal the intricate unity of this life can change the way we feel and act. Ka'au, ka'au, ka'awatea. May we ignite the fierce beauty on this rigorous journey, faithfully tending creation, with an alchemy of heaven and earth and human. Together building cathedrals of belonging everywhere, at all scales, from little ones to big ones. Our true home. This is where the magic happens, I say. Tihei mauri ora. Kia ora.